Thank you for waiting behind for this incredible panel. I think we have such a wealth of information on stage today, as we've had with the other panelists as well. And a lot of the conversation today, as you know already, the session is called Did You Say Change? The Innovation of Revolution. So we're going to be talking a lot about the online space and what these gentlemen think about the revolution that can take place as a result of what's happening on the online space. I want to start off by asking a question, because many of us say that, times have really changed. Freedom of speech is at a place that it's never been before because of media. I want to ask whichever one of you, or as many of you that want to answer this question, is the democratization, as they say, of new media here to stay? This freedom of speech that we're seeing on social media, do you think that is here to stay? Let's start with that. Anybody that wants to jump on that? I think I'll start with Omojua since he's closest to me.
I think whether it stays or not depends on the actors, and it depends on understanding certain things that have happened. For instance, just before the the 7th Assembly left, they passed some, I don't know how many numbers now, but a world record. And in doing that, they actually passed some bills, a particular bill that more or less sought to curb freedom on the internet, the free speech and all that. People will say there's a limit to what freedom is. But what I do believe in is that technology will continue to break the barriers that people try to put between people and their right to speak and their right to defend themselves. So even if the politics and the policies and the politicians find a way to reduce the powers of people, the deregulation that has happened with respect to human rights and people's voices, other things will happen, innovations will happen that will just make it absolutely impossible. It is impossible for the future to take away the power that the people already have now today.
Right, anybody want to add to that?
Hello? Okay.
Hi.
Beyond what technology is doing and making people have some more power, I think even for brands, beyond politics and the nation, even brands now understand that the consumers have more power and they control the conversation. So in the past, you have the media or radio, TV, and newspapers dictating what people should listen to or what they should buy. But now your friend describes the product that you should buy or prescribes the product that you should buy. So the more people converge, the more people relate or socialize, the more the power they have. So you can't really regulate the power of the people in terms of their voice and what they want to say.
So in driving revolution online, would any of you say that there should be a strategy in place, whether it's an individual person's strategy or a collective strategy for driving that change that we can possibly see, that we saw, for example, with the elections, there was a lot of accountability just by what the young people were saying. Do you think that there should be some kind of strategy even going forward to make sure that it is sustainable? Because it's one thing for everyone to get excited, and we saw that with the fuel subsidy, right? Everybody got excited, and it kind of dwindled down. So is there some kind of strategy for sustaining this revolution that we could potentially be seeing?
I think one thing that should be drawn into this is involvement. There's one thing for people to start a sort of conversation, and it's another thing for people to actually come on board the conversation that's being spread around. You also have an issue of truth. Is there an element of truth in what's being said? Is there actually freedom of speech or expression online? You'll have a situation where, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, a specific online blogger said some stuff about the Ogun State governor's wife, and he was locked up for it. Now, the question begs, was he actually telling the truth? Number one. Number two, was the Ogun State government fair for actually incarcerating him for whatever it was he must have said or whatnot? So I think, that one is one, and involvement is another. If everyone gets involved, there's no way conversations won't carry on and last longer than it's actually been spun off.
In classic sociology, there is often a demarcation of freedom into two types: positive freedoms and negative freedoms. And what we classically call freedom is often negative freedoms, which is freedom from. So freedom from fear, freedom from arrest, etc. But it's also positive freedom, which is freedom to do something. And here is where the challenge arises, because very often it's tied to the issue of resources. as somebody said before. So are the ordinary people that use social media any better informed because the information resources exist, whether in Nigeria or Africa, for the person using social media to engage positively? I'm not talking only of the legislative framework like Freedom of Information Acts and the rest of it, but it's also the fact that we have weak libraries, whether it's online libraries or offline libraries. We have weak archival systems. As a journalist, where do you obtain the resources that you need to do your work? Now, if journalists cannot do that, what is the guarantee that people on social media will have access to the information resources that they need to contribute positively? So I think we should not only look at freedom from, we should also look at freedom to.